Again, it's Deadpool Negative here with the Transformers issue 8. This has some interesting significance for me, the number 8 in Transformers, because I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly certain the very first Transformers comic I bought, which led me to comics period, was issue 8 of the old Marvel series, which had a pretty awesome it's a Dinobots cover drawn by, oh yes, the late Mark Bright, and art issue with amazing artwork by William Johnson and Kyle Baker. I remember basically, and Baker signed those issues. And I trade with those issues. He said like Johnson flaked in the middle of drawing those two issues, and he drew most of issue 8. But in any case, that was a very striking comic book with this amazing artwork. William Johnson, those it was kind of weird. Those two amazing issues of Transformers he drew, and then he drew a half an issue of GI Joe and disappeared. Um, but anyway, that's just interesting. But here we have the continuation of the storyline, and it's interesting. Like again, like there's nothing super innovative or deep here, which apparently to some other YouTubers is a bad thing, even though they insist that's how it should be for other properties. But here, it's I wanted to say before that like I've been watching a Weird Science Comics reviews of the series. They're enjoying it, but they don't know the guy doesn't know a lot about Transformers. Interesting to hear from his perspective. He doesn't get a lot of the references. I mean, luckily the references aren't done in a way that you're not not getting them is bad. But like I've said before, this is really just the ultimate version of the 1984 animated series. The ultimate version. Um, more with more violence. And here we find the old classic Decepticon ship Nemesis, which is pretty cool. And we also, I mean, if you've seen the spoiler cover, you know who it is. And then Decepticons find an old. I'm having a hard time believing this character was stuck in that ship for all this time. Um, but it's interesting. And let's go back to first of all, I want to talk about the artwork. Jorge Corona again. He has much more traditional layouts than uh, the heavy manga influence of Daniel Warren Johnson. He's also trying to draw like Daniel Warren Johnson, and I think he's doing a really good job. And I hope he sticks with the title for a while. I really do. Nobody really knows what this title, like the creative teams are going to be like after issue 12. Nobody wants Johnson to leave at this point, but all signs point to him leaving, which is fine. I mean, I don't want him to leave, but like, also they do with a Cybertron. I think there's a little confusion. I don't think the Cybertron scenes are happening on flashback. I think it's happening at this during the present day. Once again, he also does something interesting in this issue. Johnson has Thundercracker attack an aircraft carrier, a Soundwave and Thundercracker, and Thundercracker shows mercy to the humans. Now, the series is about 15 years old now, but I think one of the best Transformers comics, and I know this is a minority opinion, is Mike Costa's 31 issue run, plus the Ironhide miniseries. I think that's one of the best. That's the second to Simon Furman. That's how good I think it is. I mean, obviously, but in that series, in the previous series, All Hell Megatron, Thundercracker betrayed the Decepticons. Well, he didn't betray them. He just thought he stopped. He helped the Autobots stop the massacre in New York. He said, "We're forged through combat, not slaughter, and killing these humans has meant nothing. Has meant nothing to me. Has not accomplished anything." And then when Costa took over, he did a story where Thundercracker is stuck under rubble in New York City for what seems like maybe a year, and he just watches TV, and which normally that would be a bad thing, but for a entity that never understood human culture, the more he eventually escapes, but the more he finds out about humanity and everything about them, he finds kinship with them, affection with them. And here we just have Thundercracker just not willing to just be a dick, and of course Soundwave screws that up for him. And it's a very powerful, not very powerful, it's a powerful scene. And like, it's just interesting that, like, he decided to, let's do the quote unquote good Decepticon. Johnson went with Thundercracker again. I mean, I believe it was issue 4 of the original Costa run, where it's just entirely about Thundercracker learning about humanity. Well, because he had nothing else to do, learning about humanity, learning about culture. And at the end of the story is like, we have so much to teach these people. They have much to teach us. It was really powerful stuff, and you should read it. There's also another, like, but I just thought that was interesting. I mean, first they were cribbing from Tim Seeley, now they're cribbing from Mike Costa. And there's also another thing the story does. I kind of got briefly lost here. We find out that Jetfire is revived, but they don't have enough energon to make him anything more than a vehicle. He's sentient. He can speak. He can think, but he's just a husk. He's just a vehicle, because they need something to fly around. I mean, concerning, it's kind of funny. He gets shot and he's quote unquote dead, and in the Energy on Universe special, a robot gets their eyes gouged out, their arms ripped off, and they're fine. They function. But it's a nice. It's one of the few aspects of this that feels new, because Optimus knows he's basically condemning Jetfire to a lifetime of torture. So far, I mean, eventually, I think it's the implication. Eventually, they'll get enough energon, and Jetfire will be back to normal. But it's bleak, it's dark, and I was really impressed with it. Johnson just has, and then there's also some decent characterization with Carly. For some reason, I was like, why are Carly and Spike living with the Autobots? And then remember, their whole town was flattened. And that's a confusing thing. That's one thing I'm having trouble with, is like, how much time has elapsed since the first arc, and where's the government? I mean, we know that being taken care of in G.I. Joe, but isn't someone trying to isn't someone trying to follow or track down the Autobots? I mean, I know there's been some discussion about that in Williamson's G.I. Joe, but I haven't read enough of it to make sure. But it just feels like weird for this question not to be asked, or Carly and Spike not bring it up in the regular series. But I think Carly, again, there's a really funny bit where she somehow knows how to use a rocket launcher, not well. But it's, again, solid characterization, solid stuff. I had a really good time with this, better than the previous issue. Not huge, but like, I don't know how this thing is going to wrap up in 4 issues if Johnson is actually leaving with 12. But I hope he sticks around. And there's also a preview of Kelly Thompson. Now, like, Kelly Thompson is not a good writer. They're terminally dull, and this 4-page preview does not, 5-page preview is not interesting. It is just, typical rip-off James Bond thing she's done. There have been Kelly Thompson comics I've liked. There have been a lot of them. And even though she's like, I know there are people I've heard, I don't get why they get so much work. They've had maybe one sales hit, which Rogue and Gambit, which wasn't too bad. But and Birds of Prey isn't bad. It's fine. But I just don't get the rest of it. I just do not. I've read 7 trades worth of that Captain Marvel, and there's maybe of her 50 issue run on Captain Marvel, and I could say maybe there's about a 20% of it is actually good stuff. But that's a story for another day. And of course they're like, oh, Kelly Thompson, that line means the line's screwed. I'm like, stop. Just because you have a personal issue with her. Anyway, once again, pick this up. It's one of the best comics out now. It shouldn't be that Transformers is one of the best comics out now. It should be but it is. And like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'll talk to you later.